Thank you. Thank you so much. And welcome to the Seventh Heaven Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Myers. You can follow me on Twitter at Seventh Heaven. Listen to the show on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Rumble. Soon we'll be on Odyssey. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's give us a hand for our live studio audience. How you guys doing out there? Oh, yeah, you're the best. You're the best. Oh, man, it's great to have the best fans in the world. Man, I tell you, I get emails and letters and death threats. I love them all. I love hearing from you guys. I have it on my Linktree. I don't know if you guys know. Linktree is a website thingamajig where you can put all your links on. So if someone wants to find where you are, you could just click on that Linktree and it takes you all their links. And I put in a contact me form. So if you don't want to tell me to go fuck myself online in a traditional matter like social media in the DM or just by tweet, you can do it the old school way by filling out the contact form. All you need is a name and an email. I could have put people's numbers. I thought that was too much to ask. I don't need your number. Just an email and a name and a message to go fuck myself. So if you feel like telling me to go fuck myself, I recommend filling out the contact form via my Linktree. Thank you so much for joining me this fine evening. It's Thursday night as I record this. Here's the thing about Thursdays. Thursdays are basically just early Friday. If you have work in the morning, you can be hungover and drunk even, because no one's paying attention. Everyone's thinking about the weekend. So Thursday's when you can start your weekend. And I have started my weekend this evening. I have a cherry Coke in my hand, and I got a keyboard in front of me with internet access, and I'm ready to go wild. I am ready to go wild. Here's the thing about going wild. It's harder as you get older. And I know this because I'm 30 now. And being an old man at 30, I know it's hard to recover. So it's 9 o'clock our time. I'm probably going to go to bed in an hour. Not really. But I'm going to tell you I'm going to go to bed because I want to be an old man. I think it's high time that men become old. That's when men are at their best, is when they're old. Not too old, because that's when they might be at their worst. But when they're right, 45 plus, I think is a good time for men. You're mostly docile, but you make a lot of money. Maybe you're still having sex with your wife. I don't know. But what I do know is that I think a man in his mid-40s might be the peak of human existence. And I aspire to be a man in his mid-40s. And so I got about 15 years before then. And what the hell am I going to do until then? I don't know. Probably keep making this podcast for the fans. Thank you. You're the best. I have been working on my drops. That's a drop. I don't know if you guys know that. I don't actually have a studio audience in my living room. I do. They're in my head, but not in a traditional format. It's you could put in. This is why our friend Bill O'Reilly gets to join us.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Thank you, Bill, and also other Bill.
Fucking thing sucks.
That is a drop. They call it in the biz. They call it a drop. And I thought I would add one. If you listen to the show on Tuesday, I went on a good one about Well, I don't know if it was on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. The days blend together. It was sorry. I think I have a nut in my throat. Don't be dirty with that. I'm eating peanuts. The attorney prosecuting Kyle Rittenhouse, he said one of my favorite things I've ever heard ever, and I made it a drop, and I wanted you guys to listen to it here. We're gonna debut this new drop.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
I can't decide if I want that on my gravestone.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
I feel like I don't know the context of how I'm going to use that drop, but I love it. It may become my new intro. Let's start it from the top here.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
Thank you, Prosecutor Binger. And welcome to the 7th Heaven Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Myers. You can follow me on Twitter at 7th Heaven. Follow me on Instagram at 7th Heaven Pod, etc., etc. Follow my link tree. I think that's an excellent intro.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
Here's the thing. I feel like it needs to have a beat to justify that. Because right now it's just a very odd line that a prosecutor is saying. But if I formulated a beat around it, put some funky beats around that, I think that would be the theme song of the year. I think that would win all the podcast awards. The potties. I have no idea what the actual award show for this industry is. I imagine it's something very dumb and probably worse than potties. Maybe not worse than potties, but I nominate myself. Here's who's this? Hold on, I got other drops here. See, that one came with the machine. This machine, it came with that, as did this, which is kind of how I feel most of the time when I'm on this thing. But there's also hold on.
Pleasure, Ricky. Thank you for having me.
That's Brendan Fraser. So that one, I don't know if you ever seen the bad Brendan Fraser interview where he's like clearly a mess. Trevor, my roommate, and Will, my friend, both very much enjoy that interview. It's very cringy, and they get their dicks get very hard when they watch that. And so I have decided that for context, my friends and I are doing a gambling podcast and football betting. And we're not uploading it right now, which I'm not sure why we aren't, but we're not. And in the meantime, we're just recording these every Friday night. So we're going to record tomorrow night. And they enjoy Brendan Fraser's, cringy interview. So I want to somehow naturally sneak this into the conversation.
Pleasure, Ricky. Thank you for having me.
So I don't know if
Pleasure, Ricky. Thank you for having me.
I'm not sure how I'm going to fit that in. But there's also this one, this one I think will be easier to fit in.
We all wonder what the truth really is.
Also from Brendan's famous interview. So I don't know how I'm going to work those in, but I want to surprise them because they don't listen to the show. But I want to surprise them.
We all wonder what the truth really is.
And figure out how to work those.
Pleasure, Ricky. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I am not a super cringe guy. I mean, I am cringe, but not in my humor. Like, I don't cringy things are always I have to like warm up to it and then be like, okay, it's fine. Like there are moments of The Office that are super cringy that I'm fine with, and then there's just stuff in there where I'm like, this is fucked. Oof. This is painful. So that's where I stand, and my friends I think they have a higher tolerance for cringe than I do. So that's why we have
Pleasure, Ricky. Thank you for having me.
we have that now. So I don't think I'll be using that too much in this bad boy. Hold on, let me go back. I don't know what I'm fucking doing here. This is a lot to ask. I'm gonna do I gotta go to these bad boys. And hey, here's the thing. I like those quick drops because they add something, you know.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
You know, Bill O'Reilly did nothing wrong. I mean, he probably did something wrong, but like if in the grand scheme of things, I think that the main reason people get into television is to be a scumbag, you know? Like, you can't be a creepy accountant. I mean, you can, but you won't. You will not get what you want out of that. Like, that's just not, it's not going to gratify you if you're a creep. You know, you're just going to be a creep. But if you get to be on TV, then your creepiness is like normal, you know, because you're famous. So I don't know what Bill did, but I feel like this is part of the gig, you know? And the world misses Bill. I think he belongs back on television. I don't know what network should have him, but I think Bill, you know, I think Bill's just a great guy.
Thing sucks.
You know, that's rude though, Bill. Bill, I really, you know, this is a family-friendly show. And the kind of language like that you direct at me is very hurtful. Hey, crickets. No one asked you.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, this is the longest cricket noise I've ever heard in my life. Jesus. Language is a funny thing. I should apologize last show. If you were listening, I trashed a writer very harshly. And I would like to extend an apology to this writer. Now, I don't remember his name because it's been a couple days. And I don't really care to look it up. But I think it was Jamil something. Jameson. I don't know. This fella wrote an article about Kyle Rittenhouse and was complaining about his white tears. I don't know. And I talked about that on the show at length. And I read the article and I critiqued it. And in the middle of it, I think I said he wants to skull fuck Kyle Rittenhouse. And you know, in hindsight, I feel like that was too much. You know, I think that was rude of me. I think that was very rude because skull fucking is a very aggressive act, you know, and it implies, you know, aggression where, you know, for all I know, he might be into it to be more gentle. This writer, you know, he was writing about Kyle's quivering lips, his glancing eyes. Those are more sensual. And skull fucking is not sensual. It's very aggressive. A sensual blowjob, maybe, is what this man was seeking. Maybe he wanted to give a sensual blowjob to Kyle Rittenhouse. Maybe, wait for it. Maybe he just wanted to cuddle with Kyle. I don't know. I do feel like it was rude of me to assume. It was rude. It was quite rude of me to assume that he wanted to skull fuck Kyle Rittenhouse. And I won't say that again. I won't. So I'm sorry for my language. And I promise to not be so crude ever again. I think I need to get a new sound guy. Thank you. Thank you. God, this is like the longest. Hold on. I want to actually see how long this thing goes. That is an 11-second cricket noise. I'm going to turn it down because I don't want to listen to it again. That is an 11-second clip of crickets. God. Painful. Like, what if you tell a bad joke and you have to sit for 11 seconds of just absolute agony of them twisting the knife for 11 seconds? That's so painful. God. That's cringe. Well, here's the thing, guys. I didn't really prepare a show. Well, I kind of did. I had some things that I wanted to talk about. The QAnon shaman. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was the guy at the January 6th riot, insurrection. He got sentenced to like 3.5 years in prison for, trespassing. I thought that was odd. It's not odd, but it is definitely strange when you had people burning down the entire country all last summer. Kind of weird. But the QAnon shaman, I think he's autistic or something. Something wrong with that boy. And the guy was wearing buffalo shit. Who wears furs? I went to a Halloween party a couple years ago, and some motherfucker was wearing like leather. He was like all this leather, and I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And then he's like, yeah, I make it myself. And I'm like, ooh, okay. So not only is this your costume, it's also your hobby, and you're ready to tell everybody this is what you do in your free time. Wow. This is why I hate parties. Having to talk to people, get to know them. I lied to so many people when I went back to Ole Miss last weekend. What the fuck it was? I made it a point to tell everybody that I had a different job than what I actually do. I get a lot of entertainment about that. I don't know why. It's just the conversations are often dumb. And the only reason it like matters is if they need you for something or you need them for something. Like if I was like, I need a lawyer, and then the guy's like, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm actually a lawyer. You're like, oh, fuck, I missed out on that. But more often than not, it's just mundane conversations that you'll forget by the end of them. You won't remember. So when people ask me what I do, I'm like, oh, I work at a call center. They're like, what? Really? Yeah, I do. And, that was true at a time. So I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to lie. I'm not a big liar. That's the thing. I'm not a big liar. That's why it's fun for me, because it's outside my element. There are people who know nothing but lying. There's people who just like enjoy lying. And then there's people who just reside in that space, like they're constantly just lying. They don't know any of that. It's their default. It's just their default position is lying. And hey, there's nothing. The thing about I think the problem with lying is that it's when trust matters, right? Like if you meet somebody and you're like, let's say you want to date somebody, you want to take a lady out on the town, and she's like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, I am the president of the United States. She's like, that's cool. Do you want to fuck? And you're like, yes. I think that's fine until, you fall in love with her, and she's like, wait, you're not the president of the United States? I fell in love with you because I thought you were the president of the United States. That's where the problems come in. But if it's just, hey, you want to go back to my place and get it on? I'm the president of the United States. That's fine. I think that's fine. You can't, maybe you don't have kids with somebody after telling each other these lies. That would be the problem. You don't have kids with her. You're not settled down with this woman because you've done nothing but lie to her, telling her you're the president. But if she and you are in this, it's purely carnal. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, all my interactions now, it's I'm just gonna lie. I'm just gonna lie to these people unless I want to have kids with them. That's what I'm telling you. I'm tired. That's one way to put it. I'm tired of this world. I'm tired of society. I'm just tired. I always think that's funny when people are online being like, I'm exhausted. I had one of those, back when I had Facebook, I had one of those ladies who would be like, I'm like a mommy. I'm a new mom. I'm always tired. I'm exhausted. Like, well, you're the one who had kids, so I don't sleep either, bitch. Does not make me a hero. Although I will take the title if given. I did see a tweet from somebody talking about how, in America there's two classes of white supremacy and people of color and da da da, and I'm just exhausted. I'm exhausted. Yeah, you are. You fucking writing that tweet all day. I would be exhausted too if all I thought about was how unfair society is. I would be so tired. That might help me sleep. That might cure my insomnia. Something to consider. I have nothing planned here. There was another story I saw. You guys are familiar with Antonio Brown. He's a football player. And this fella is now being accused of having a fake vaccine passport. Vaxport. He's been accused by his former chef, I believe, who claims he owes $10,000. Antonio Brown owes him $10,000, and he sent screenshots claiming, this is about getting a vaccine, a fake vaccine. And it's funny because now the media is like all energized to figure this out, if he has a real vaccine card or not. And it's hilarious to me because fucking mind your own fucking business. How about that? How about it's none of your business? Isn't that weird how like they think that this, like, it's anybody's business whether or not they're vaccinated? I think that's weird. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. We did used to live in a society where you didn't have to tell people what kind of medical procedures you went through. He lied. Blah. Well, he didn't have to lie. You made him lie. That's kind of the funny thing. It's like these people have done nothing but impose rules, and then they get mad that people are saying fuck you to your rules. Like, that's all this is, right? They all decided, the media collectively decided the only solution was a vaccine. Anything else was wrong, unscientific, immoral, crazy, stupid, made you a murderer. And that's why they got mad at Aaron Rodgers. He was in our press room and he wasn't wearing a mask. Well, you're all vaccinated, so what do you care? If you're vaccinated, why do you care? Do you not believe in the vaccine? I mean, it feels like you don't believe in the vaccine. That's kind of my problem when people freak out about the masking bullshit still. It's like, you're vaccinated. The masking should have ended the moment the vaccine was readily available. Everybody had a choice by then. Everybody. So if you're a journalist who got vaccinated and you had an interview with Aaron Rodgers, what's your problem? Unless you don't believe in the vaccine. Or are you going to admit that maybe the vaccine's not as effective as you proclaimed it would be? That would require some introspective behavior, which I don't think there's much of. So, Antonio Brown, this is the thing, whether or not he did get vaccinated is irrelevant. It's nobody's business. It's not the NFL has made it their business. It's not the NFL's business. It is not. The players are missing game. Antonio Brown missed a game because he got COVID. Or maybe it was the week before the season started. But him and Ndamukong Suh, both vaccinated, both got COVID. So what's the story? He is more immune than people who are vaccinated. Shocking. But of course, the media is out to get it. And then this guy who wants money, he is admitted he wants $10,000 from Antonio Brown and has since gone to the media. And I was reading about his lawyer type guy, and the guy who's like representing him used to sell celebrity sex tapes. And the Tampa Bay Times just went out and printed that. Like, oh yeah, this is a good source. Isn't it? The fake news media is the enemy of the people. Donald Trump was completely correct. The term really is the corporate press. But regardless, these people are the enemy of the American people. And what does that mean? It means that they deliberately distort and lie about the news in order to influence and generate a narrative that serves the elites, that serves the government, the media, the universities, all the institutions that traditionally the left was skeptical of, but now has nothing but utmost support for. So I find that odd. This is not this. I don't know why people don't understand this simple fact. Why is the press member searching for the vaccination status of, did he single out Antonio Brown? Did he go, there's 53 guys on a roster at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This reporter could have easily picked any other player but Antonio Brown. Now you go, oh, well, maybe this guy came to him. Okay. The guy who admittedly wants $10,000. See, that's the funny thing. Antonio Brown stiffing this is the thing. Antonio Brown has been accused already of not paying people who work for him. He has been accused of stiffing people the bill. That may or may not be true. I don't know. He got accused of stiffing a U-Haul company. He got accused, I think, of stiffing somebody else. So if you said, hey, this guy owes me 10 grand, that's just another story like this. But then this guy pulls out a screenshot that he claims is proof that Antonio Brown purchased a fake vaccine card for $500. Okay. Interesting. That's an interesting element to the story. But the story really is that Antonio Brown has stiffed another company or whatever, allegedly. But that's not enough. We need to throw in the vaccine thing. So then the story becomes about him allegedly having a fake vaccine card. And so the Tampa Bay Times, in the middle of the Buccaneers' second Super Bowl run here, have decided to run a story that, if true, might be grounds to release a player. Why do they do that? We're journalists. Whoa. This is not journalism, because either you sought out to destroy him or you willingly took the information from a noted scumbag. I'm sorry, this guy went and got a shitbag lawyer or whatever, representation, who used to traffic in celebrity sex tapes. And he also claims that Antonio Brown owes him money. Huh. Interesting. And you just decided to print it in the middle of the season on a 2-game losing streak. That's what you decided to print. Oh, well, we're journalists. It's not our job to be fans. We're just covering the team. I don't fucking care. Why don't you cover the fact that Warren Sapp is still in the Ring of Honor, but John Gruden isn't? Would that piss off some owners or something? Would that make you have to deal with consequences? That's the thing. This is just enough. You'll piss off some people in the office there, but the owners will forget and forgive, and then you'll be fine. But you won't. You have no interest on all the other, Warren Sapp sitting in the Ring of Honor. You had no interest in Richard Sherman being signed. Antonio Brown, like that. So now you have a problem in the middle of the season, in the middle of a losing streak, and you decide to release some text from a guy who is admitting he wants to get money out of Antonio Brown. By the way, if Antonio Brown owes him 10 grand, there's a process for that. It's in the courts. But he decided to take this. So is Rick Stroud part of extortion? Is the Tampa Bay Times committing extortion on Antonio Brown? I would think it looks like it. From the outside, it kind of looks like it. And they disguise it as journalism. That's why they're the enemy of the people. Because you're sitting there in the middle of a season when you're going, okay, this is a franchise that hasn't had a lot of winning. Tom Brady's in the middle of the season. His favorite target allegedly has a fake vaccine passport. Oh, it's our job to report on it. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is the same media that covered for John F. Kennedy, Franklin Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower. They all knew those guys had mistresses. They did not report on it. This notion that every journalist has to report on everything is not true. Because when they make that claim, they're often ignoring other stories. Why is it that Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk has 70-something tweets about Aaron Rodgers, and blocks Gil Brandt for pointing that out? He has 70-plus tweets criticizing Aaron Rodgers. How many does he have pointing out that a Vikings player was hospitalized with COVID last week despite being vaccinated? Why is that not in the purview? Well, if it's about, I'm a journalist, I have to report, you don't have to do 70-something tweets about a guy who was in recovery and ended up fine and then came back and beat the Seahawks. So what is it? It's funny. You're very selective about what you've established that you're selective about what you report on. The Tampa Bay Times, by default, is establishing that they are also selective about what they report on. So a player getting a vaccine passport forged, is it news? I guess it's not surprising. Oh, and I love it now that all these guys are going, he may have committed a federal offense. Ah, ha, ha. If you smoked marijuana, you've committed a federal offense. If you've held on to marijuana and then passed it to somebody else, you didn't even have to smoke it. You've committed a federal offense. Marijuana is a Schedule I drug. How many of these journalists pass a piss test? Honest to God. So sick of these activists. They call themselves journalists. They act like they have some sort of value in this world. Like they're standing up for the truth. This is a black man. If this is true, that's the funny thing, because his lawyer maintains he's vaccinated. The team is not saying anything about that. The evidence is not on Rick Stroud's side right now. It's not on the Tampa Bay Times right now. All it is a cut off text message. It may end up being real. I don't care. It's nobody's business. The fact that there's a vaccine mandate on any capacity is insane. That is insane. So don't fucking act like, oh, this is the journalist integrity. No, it's not. This is not an issue of journalism. It's an issue of hackery and being a fucking activist. That's what it is. Claiming that you're unbiased, claiming that you're coming in it from, well, this is just a story, we need to cover it. Here's a story, fuck you. You don't need to cover everything. We know you don't cover everything. We already know. People know this about the media. We sit there and we watch the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and then we watch them go, oh, the prosecution had a stellar day. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, maybe the idiot lemmings who just read a headline and go, oh, I guess that's the news, I'm good. Yeah, it's good for them. But the rest of us who have a brain in our fucking head know that you are selective. You self-edit. You are selective about what you cover. So don't fucking try that. Don't act like this is some moral high ground. You had a choice. This person who has approached you with this story is questionable. He's admitted he wants $10,000 from Antonio Brown. Now, maybe Antonio does owe him money. Okay, well, if it's a business transaction, there's court for that. Oh, well, I can't afford a lawyer. Well, you can afford to bill Antonio Brown $10,000. So, extortion. Even if it's true, it's extortion. If somebody owes you money, you don't go to the media and then they fucking talk shit on you that has nothing to do with your money. So good for you, Rick Stroud. Either you got played or you're just that desperate to get clicks for your dying establishment paper. Good riddance. Anywho, I didn't have any notes for this show, guys. I just went. That's when a genius is at work, you know? When you see a genius at work. This must be like, listening to this must be like watching Mozart paint the Sistine Chapel. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got it. I have some notes here I want to work out. I don't know if it's a joke. I don't think it's a joke. Feels like an essay. A comment, really. And it's kind of this conceptually. When people attack their enemies, they get very specific. So like a Democrat goes after Republicans, Republicans go after Democrats. Maybe they get a little maybe they get a little vague, you know, like they go they'll go, you know, those socialists, they want socialized medicine or whatever. And then you go, okay, well, then these Republicans are talking about Democrats. Or they go, oh, they're a bunch of Nazis and they all believe in Q. It's like, okay, well, that's a Democrat. So they can get a little vague. But when people get like really vague and they don't use those terms, they say people. Like they go, I hate it when people are late. I hate it when people are late. And it's like, well, why are you saying people? You know, normally you're talking about Republicans or Democrats, you know, people. And my working theory is that when people criticize broadly, it's because they're criticizing something close to them. So in that example, it's not, I hate it when people are late. It's, I hate it when my husband is late because he's always late. Or I hate it when my period is late because he's always late. But I noticed, and the reason I noticed is a few years ago, I had this interaction with a woman online. Oh, that sounds so sultry, but it wasn't. She was breastfeeding. And she's breastfeeding, and, you know, these breastfeeders are quite interesting because I never thought breastfeeding was controversial. I always thought it was just like nature, you know, just like a woman puts her titty in a baby mouth and the baby drinks milk and, you know, I don't like to think about it. It's gross, you know, it's gross because it's very Freudian. That's the problem. It's very Freudian. But, you know, I never saw it as a controversial thing for someone to be breastfed. But I've noticed online all these people are making it controversial. And one of these people was going on about how people are always staring at her when she breastfeeds. And people are always, staring at her with daggers. And, you know, it's like always these people are judging her. People are commenting online on my posts. People. So I asked this breastfeeding mother, I said, by people, do you mean men or women? Because here's the thing. The only reason a man stares at a woman's chest as she breastfeeds is in hopes of seeing her breast. It's the only reason anybody would look at that. The only reason there's two reasons a man would care about it. And it's one, to look at it, or two, it's your wife and you don't want someone to look at her titty. That's like those to me are the only camps that I personally could sit in. You know, I don't know a lot of straight guys that go, oh, it's so gross when they do it in public. I've never heard anybody say that. And so she admitted it was women that say this, but she kept saying people. She didn't say, she said women when I kind of forced it out, but everything was people this and people that. It's like, no, women. Women are staring at you and rolling their eyes in disgust because that's what women do. They do it to men all the time. I'm aware, and they should. They're right to. They're not wrong. They should be disgusted with us. But I always think it's interesting. So when I've been trying to apply this theory, because I've been thinking about it, that when people get vague, they're talking about their own people. They're talking about their own side. They're talking about a group that is sensitive, but they want to keep it vague and they don't want to get specific, you know? So that's something I'm going to pay attention to. I'm going to be, every time I watch some political thing and they start going on about people need to do this or whatever, and then it's Republican this, Democrat that, it's like, oh, okay, then you're very specific now. That's very interesting. I don't know. I have other notes. Here's a question. You ever start smoking weed and then a decade goes by? Yeah, I didn't think so either. Thank you. Thank you, my 11-second cricket. Let's see what their attorney has to say.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
I am addicted to that.
Oh, and he said some bad words. He said the N-word.
I am obsessed. I'm sorry. It's very inappropriate. I also have a note here. I started writing something. Autistic versus service dogs. Service dogs, some are like real, blind seeing eye dogs, bloodhounds, bomb sniffing dogs. And then some are just an excuse for stoned white women to bring their husky into Starbucks. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I wrote identifying as autistic versus service dog. Some are real, blind, seeing eye. So there's I feel like being autistic is a lot like being a service dog, like some people actually have autism, just like some service dogs are real. You got your blind seeing eye dogs, you got your dogs that go and sniff for the body in the woods, you got your bomb sniffing dog at the airport, while some are just an excuse for stoned white women to bring their husky into Starbucks. How do I tie that into autism? A lot of people aren't autistic, but they think they are. They say they are. And I think it's just an excuse for us to bring you into Starbucks. I don't know. God damn. So that's the tie. How do I tie that in? God damn it. I got to think about that. That's my project for this weekend. Oh, I got to think about that. Well, how about this? I will write the rest of that joke. I'm going to write the rest of that joke. And I don't know what it's going to be, but I will come back to you with it the next time I record. And, you guys should be happy. You guys should be happy. This is the kind of content that I bring every week.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Thank you, Bill. Bill's a good guy. I defend him. Defend him to the death. No, I don't. He's all right. I've never met him. I used to read his books. Is that weird? When I was a kid, I used to read Bill O'Reilly books. I think it's kind of weird. It's probably the reason I am the way I am today. That's not a good thing. Well, that's the show, folks. I appreciate you joining me for the Seventh Heaven podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Seventh Heaven. Follow me on Instagram at Seventh Heaven Pod. Follow me. The yellow background. Share with a friend. Give it a share. And Oh, R.I.P. Young Dolph. The young man found himself dead. For those of you who don't know, Young Dolph is a rapper out of Memphis. He was getting cookies, and some homies came up the block and shot him down. It's not the first time he's been shot, which I always think is interesting. I always thought if I got shot once, it'd be the only time, Either I would die, which in all likelihood, or I would, crawl back up and save the day and then, go to the ambulance and then live happily ever after. So there would be a hot girl that I saved, and then we would be in the ambulance together, and she's like, you never have to worry about anything ever again because I'm here. I'm like, great. You want to watch some TV? Anywho, I appreciate you guys listening. Share with a friend. You guys have a good rest of your evening.